A lot of time, I see our African brothers and sisters ask a very significant question. They ask that why is Africa no longer great if it was great in the past? But before looking into this question, it is very vital I bring to our notice that we are always criticized by our own African brothers and sisters who deliberately mock us when we teach about the past civilization and greatness of our African ancestors. These Africans who criticize us believe that nothing good ever came out from our African ancestors and nothing good will ever come out from Africa. These are the mentally colonized Africans. The fall of Africa took a long historical process. Now, to begin, we should understand that there are two types of Africans: the Africans before slave trade and the ones after slave trade. The first Africans were the first in the world to start the science of engineering, medicine, astronomy 10,000 years before the continent of Europe was known in history around 833 BCE. Why? Because a people are known by the period they started writing. And the first person, that is the first European to write a book in Europe, was Homer in 833 BCE. Now, these first Africans started a Nok culture, that is the Nok civilization in West Africa, where huge sculptures were made from terracotta. The Dogon people in Mali started calculating the movement of the stars, the moon, the planets, which shows that Africans were in the science of astronomy 10,000 years before any Europeans started working on this earth. They also started the science of medicine, and the first medical doctor or the first physician in the world was an African Egyptian named Imhotep, who cured over 200 diseases, including tuberculosis and arthritis. In fact, Imhotep was the father of medicine before Hippocrates was born. But today, they said Hippocrates is the father of medicine. Meanwhile, Hippocrates went to Egypt in a place called Memphis to study under the feet of Imhotep. Africans were already in the science of surgery. This is shown in the Edwin Smith papyrus, where Africans are seen in Egypt and in Uganda carrying out a systematic process of surgery. The first cesarean section was done by Africans in Uganda 2,500 years ago. And today, after our great civilization, we have become the underdeveloped, the backward, and the poor. The fact is that the fall of Africa took a long historical process. The collapse of Africa started when the black race was invaded. The first invaders were the Hyksos from Asia around 1675 BCE. They ruled the African Egyptians for 108 years after plundering the civilization of the Egyptians. The Greeks from Europe invaded in 332 BCE under Alexander the Great and ruled for 300 years. The Romans were the second Europeans who invaded in 30 BCE, and they ruled Egypt for 600 years. And in the year 639 AD, the Arabs entered Egypt, invaded in 640, and conquered Egypt and the entire North Africa in general in the year 641 AD. The various invasion of the black race by foreign invaders marked the starting point for the collapse of the African civilization. The foreign invaders, they plundered, they distorted, and they plagiarized the knowledge and history of the African people. Even the Europeans said it themselves, that these Negroes, who are now the object of our contempt, are actually the masters and the makers of our arts and sciences. Grab a copy of my book today, The Untold History of the Black Race and the Fall of African Civilization. If you want a copy, send a message to my inbox.